Hey guys and gals, it's me, Dr.JWolfenstein here. Sorry about the technical delays, but welcome. We are playing Vampire the Masquerade Swansong. Now, for those of you who don't know anything about Vampire the Masquerade, it is a World of Darkness franchise. It features vampires. A little nitty gritty, maybe, but it features vampires in a modern day kind of setting. And there are many clans that you can join. Swansong will focus on 3 fairly older kindred. You can play as any one of them. And I'm going to play it for you. And a bit of lore backstory, as far as I, Dr. Wolfenstein, is concerned. Vampires were one of my first creations. The reason being is because, well, a vampire is basically better than a human and are full of chaotic opportunities. So, for now, I will kind of determine some things. I want voices to be higher than everything because I want to hear the dialogue of this game. So we'll turn that up. Way up. I will be playing with a keyboard for this particular game. And I hope you all don't mind too terribly. But I'm super excited to play. Alright, if I hold it down, it'll go. Oh, there's my mic sense. I'll turn that up just a little bit. Too high. Alrighty. So, we're going to go with our new game. The Prince's Quarters. The Boston court is in turmoil. A code red alert has been issued, which means a major crisis has occurred. Emin, Leisha, and Galeb are summoned by the Prince. September 4, 2019. Just before the year suck. That's what I'm calling 2020, by the way. The year suck. The year 20-aught suck. Vampires walk among us. Unknowing, we've built their cities, fought their wars, and sated their hunger. For centuries, these creatures have been organized into rival sects, the largest of which is the Camarilla. In its domains, Camarilla courts enforce the Masquerade, a global conspiracy hiding the existence of vampires from the mortal world. Breaking the Masquerade is punishable by final death. Dun dun dun! In Boston, vampire factions have long been at each other's throats. After much conflict, Hazel Iverson, the new prince, has sealed a fragile pact with a group of blood sorcerers known as the Hartford Chantry. This alliance will not only provide stability to the domain, but will hand the prince the blood trade. The trafficking of blood and mortal victims that serves the needs of the vampire elite. Tonight, the undead will celebrate.
Try this. Focus on your vision.
For those of you with epilepsy, please look away. Ooh.
Take your stuff. We're getting out of here. We've got a problem.
Call them back.
For those of you youngins who don't know, that is what is called a pager. Shufeng.
It's the prince. We must go quickly.
PM. Princess Quarters. Ooh, she is pretty.
Come on. Damn it. Hurry up. Calm down. Maybe it has nothing to do with the party.
You know full well I was in charge of it. If anything goes wrong, it's my head on the chopping block.
Fuck. Damn it.
It took Hazel months to convince the Hartford Chantry to ally themselves with us. So they finally accept, and then bam, a code red. There's never been a code red in Boston, damn it. This has gotta be bad, MM.
Dialogue. In a dialogue, some answers require the use of your skills. Your skill level is compared with that of your opponent. The higher rating wins. You cannot use a skill if its rating is 0. Using a skill consumes willpower. If your opponent wins, you gain a few willpower at the end of the dialogue.
It's not like you have anything to do with it. I'm sure.
You don't get it. I was in charge of organizing the party.
But security is Jara's problem.
Yeah,
Normally.
except Jara is a member of the Primogen. I'm not.
But you're a heart. The prince will cover you. You know she's always looking for an excuse to take you down a notch.
We'll see.
For those of you
Next.
When everyone's safe, we move on to phase 2. Clean house.
For those of you who don't know, the Primogen, it refers to a council of vampires, usually heads of clans, that are under the Prince of the Camarilla. The Harpy is the keeper, or rather is the voice of the prince. She goes around and basically is the PR for the prince.
Did you say this is the first code red in Boston?
Ever since the fall of London, protocol is no longer alive and well.
Whatever. They've been harping on that for 4 years now. They took away our internet access. Our smartphones.
It's called risk mitigation, that's all. The code red is an alarm signal that's sent to everyone to say, watch out, we're all in danger. And everyone runs to shelter at the nearest safe house. For us, it's with the prince. It could have been worse.
I'd have preferred worse.
You're not even listening.
We clean house.
What do you mean by we clean house?
Getting rid of our archives, our documents, anything that might betray our network and relationships.
Let's change the subject.
What comes after phase 2?
Just pray that it never comes to that.
Come on, tell me.
Or when we leave everything behind and we go into hiding, as far from home as we can.
There's no way I'm leaving Boston. Everything I have is right here in the city. It took me years to build my clubs. I've worked too hard to give it up now.
You won't have a choice.
I know you hate coming here.
What do you think? I know how to behave, Jay.
Yeah, I know. Just keep your cool and it'll be fine.
Ah, my little darlings. You're here at last. The fear that something horrible had happened to you terrified me.
We'll come for pictures, April.
The prince has to see you as soon as you arrive, Italy. I wouldn't dilly-dally if I were you. As for you, Journey, someone's triggered the cold war. If anything has happened over there, I'll hold you personally responsible.
So I'm gonna be straight up. I don't know what's with all the flecks of paint on everybody. Honestly, I think that might be a skin condition. I vaguely remember something about one. I can't remember the actual scientific name, but basically it causes parts of your cells to be pigmented and parts not to be. There are also some vampire, or some kindred and some ghouls in Vampire the Masquerade who can enforce that as part of their unfortunate curse. This says disciplines. Vampires have supernatural abilities, usually inherited from their clan. Disciplines. Some disciplines can be used in dialogue. As with skills, the higher level wins. Not all disciplines are available to all vampires. Some mortals may possess certain powers, although most have no defense against disciplines. Using a discipline generates hunger. Hunger has a value that cannot be exceeded. This limits a vampire's use of their powers. A vampire at their hunger limit risks losing control, attacking and feeding on the closest mortal.
You know, back in the day, nobody could bat an eyelash, but you know about it. You must know exactly what Jay's been blamed for, don't you?
And my dear woman, I adore you. Really, I do. But darling, please, you're way of your league here. This alliance with the Hartford Chantry is crucial. The Princess on Edge. You can't get through to anyone over here.
What does this have to do with Jay?
She was in charge of the whole thing, for goodness sake. Listen, both of you. From now on, I don't want to hear another word out of either of you. The Prince is furious. Journey, you're coming with me.
I don't see why.
And as for you, Hazel wants to see you. Right now.
So by clicking the tab button, you get to bring up certain things. So, this is Luis, founder of the Black Rattlers, Clan Toreador, date of embrace. Man, she was embraced back in the 20s. She's a 12th generation. Wow, 12th generation's that old? Alright. Sire Hilda McAnders. Men of Bronze, born in Harlem in 1901. Mem grew up in a family of poor African-American performers. Her father, Mason, was a musician by night and window washer by day. Her mother, Clara, sang when she was not taking care of her 4 children. When he was drafted in 1917, World War I, Mem's father enlisted in the 15th Regiment of the New York National Guard, the Harlem Hellfighters, and participated in the liberation of France. Or is that World War II? I can't remember. My history sucks. He joined a jazz band in his unit that became a phenomenal after the war ended. Pathé Studios had them record an album for which would become the first jazz record to be played nonstop on French phonographs. Following this success, Mason decided to bring his family to Paris and to make a living playing his music and the jazz clubs that were beginning to sprout throughout the capital, Paris. MM was 17 years old and was a dancer. She spent time with the elite who would come to listen to her father, and it took little time for her to get noticed. She discovered the Folies Bergerac and their international shows. She auditioned for it and passed with flying colors, from odd jobs backstage to subbing in for other performers. She proved herself and became the headline act at just 21 years old. Her burlesque stripping act took Paris by storm, making her extremely popular. MM began to travel through Europe, dancing to packed houses in the hottest cabarets. MM was young and beautiful and radiant. Her light was the night. As the champagne and money flowed, champagne! And money flowed, she was determined and alluring, the embodiment of a free and independent woman of the early 20th century. She had a fiery temper that soon attracted the attention of Europe's divas. To Die in Your Arms. In December 1923, she performed 8 times at the Vienna Carl Theater. On the first night, she was introduced to Hilda McAndrews by the theater director outside her dressing room. MM was immediately captivated by this mysterious aristocrat who attended each of her performances. They spent the nights that followed in bars, exchanging stories about their lives and their art, their passions and their struggles. Hilda was cultured, charismatic, and politically engaged in the suffrage movement and the women's artistic community. MM, to her surprise, fell under her spell and gave in to this irresistible attraction. A passionate relationship formed right away between the two women, who became inseparable. Hilda confided in MM and told her about her vampiric nature over the course of the next 3 years. For their love to endure, but also seduced by the promise of eternal youth, MM asked to be sired right away. It would take yet another 3 years, however, before Hilda managed to get the local prince to agree to it. The prince feared that the young woman's notoriety could be a danger to the masquerade. With the prince's blessing at last, Hilda threw a spectacular celebration in honor of her companion, whom she would embrace at the end of this memorable evening. Having lived in Vienna since their meeting at Carl Theater, Hilda and MM left Austria in 1934 for Paris, then Bordeaux. Alas, France's surrender in 1940. I was right the first time. It was the First World War. Anyway. Alas, France's surrender in 1940 forced the couple to reconsider their plans. With the help of her contacts in London, Hilda managed to negotiate a crossing to Boston, her hometown. Though hesitant at first, the city's Malkavian prince, Quentin King, finally granted them asylum. MM and Hilda were introduced to the court, where 50 years of intrigue would bring their passion to its inevitable end. Sorry, I am very thirsty lately. I'm just getting over being sick, so I'm really dehydrated. But Queen of the Night, following her breakup with Hilda, aww, they broke up, how sad. MM moved to a suburban Boston neighborhood, far away from King political schemes and her sire. By the way, go support Gamer Subs and the Russian Badger. And Shy Lilia apparently is now sponsored by Gamer Subs. The area, however, with its infamous reputation due to the large population of Thin Bloods and Anarch sympathizers, did not make for a wise investment, but MM refused to give up. She renovated a small theater and transformed it into a club that she named the Black Rattlers, in homage to her father's battalion. Then she returned to the stage and progressively regained her visibility and reputation. She met kindred from all walks of life, and against all odds, managed to bring renewal to the neighborhood, which the Bostonian youth began to frequent. The Black Rattlers grew more prominent and became one of the city's leading clubs, where anyone was welcome, regardless of their clan, faction, or origin. Wow. Very daring of her, I will say. In 10 years, had managed to create a zone of peace where vampires from the Camarilla and Thin Bloods could sit together and listen to the finest jazz. Not gonna lie, when I was in high school, we had a jazz band lounge, and it was fantastic. Really, it was awesome. I'm a huge sucker for good jazz. It was here that she met Hazel Iverson. Charmed by the Venture's temperament and ideas, Mem sympathized with Iverson, who claimed the throne of Boston in 2014. Although the departure of Quentin King and his hordes of minions delighted MM, she still obstinately, Jesus, refused to return to the court. The only thing that mattered to her were her clubs. She had 3 now. Clubs with a growing social and political power that Hazel had not forgotten. This is the other gentleman we saw in that opening video. This is Caleb Razori. He is the protector of the Camarilla. He is of my clan, the Clan Ventru. Date of embrace 1745. He is 11th generation. His sire is Jean-Baptiste Tavernier. He has a child, Beryl Underwood. Wow, he was turned by Jean-Baptiste? That's a very historical name. In 1710, in Constantinople, Mirza, the King of Light, or the King's Light, rather, gave birth to Shehzadeh Suleiman, her firstborn son. Okay, I'm just gonna apologize now. I'm gonna butcher the fuck out of these names. My bad. Whose birth name was Jeannette de Bazori, left France and joined the harem of Ahmed III, Sultan of the Ottoman Empire, the previous year, and quickly became his favorite. She was a doting mother who was constantly concerned about the child who was destined to inherit his father's throne. Suleiman, for his part, was given an excellent education and learned about country life with his younger brother, Shehzad Mustafa. 2 brothers had very different personalities. While Suleiman was quiet, stubborn, and adventurous, Mustafa was more versatile and fearful. In 1730, their father, Ahmed III, became unpopular, and the Janissaries revolted against him and forced him to abdicate in favor of his nephew. From that moment on, the seething Suleiman began plotting revenge in the long term to restore his father to the throne. Although he was aware of the problems this would cause, he felt that the only thing he could do was put the rightful ruler back on his throne. His mother, having heard of this, made him promise to give up his plan and disappear before the Janissaries could kill him. She convinced him to leave for the west by faking his death. Suleiman secretly set sail one night in 1732. Misara died a few weeks later out of grief over the loss of her son, it was said. However, the truth was quite different. Having caught wind of her betrayal, the Janissaries murdered her. Thank God! I'm sick of that poetic bullshit. Oh, she's lost the will to live. Oh, she died of a broke... No, fuck all you. The boat that belonged to Jeannette de Bazori's family took Suleiman to the port of Antwerp, where, in homage to his mother, he called himself Caleb Bazori. Pardon me. He was adopted by a family of diamond merchants who traded between Europe and the New World, and whose newfound fortune grew rapidly. Under their guidance, Caleb sailed the oceans in search of new business ventures. He honed his knowledge of astronomy and mathematics, forged relationships around the globe, and used the opportunity to weave an impressive web of influence. His business dealings brought him into contact with aristocrats whose conventions he mastered, as well as with drunken sailors whom he learned to manage. Out of necessity, he became a leader. His natural authority and ability to adapt won him respect. Little by little, his life on the deck of the ship became his only source of pleasure. He never set foot on his native land again. It was through sailors that he learned of his mother's death, followed by that of his father, and finally his brother Mustafa III's ascension to the throne. A throne that could have been his, a family he could have saved. No matter how far he sailed, these thoughts were always with him. During a stop in Cadiz in 1740, he met Jean-Baptiste Tavernier, a renowned French explorer and merchant who had supposedly died in Moscow in 1689. In reality, he was a venture seeking to expand his control of the diamond trade at all cost. The collaboration between the two men proves to be fruitful even beyond Tavernier's expectations. Bazori's effectiveness and his discretion delighted him. In the space of a few years, their professional dealings were enriched by secrets. And the young sailor saw in his mentor the father figure that he had never really had. One calm night after a particularly turbulent Atlantic crossing, Caleb opened up to Tavernier a bit more and told him about his background. Tavernier understood what appealed to him about this young sailor, his nobility, which, although hidden, naturally emanated from him. A thought came to Tavernier, who had never sired anyone before. He began to treat Caleb like a true member of his family and spoke to him about the occult to gauge his reaction. Then came the thorny issue of revealing his true nature. Tavernier portrayed the embrace as a gift. It didn't take much to convince the young sailor of the value of agelessness. Caleb accepted. His embrace was painful and bitter. It took him several days to be able to tolerate the beast that would now gnaw at him for all eternity. Tavernier attempted to focus his child's anger on the revenge he would get against those who deprived him of his throne, but Caleb did not see things that way. His thirst for justice was replaced by a disgust for humankind and a growing disinterest in their affairs. He now wished to rise above the kine, the vampire's word for humans. Funnily enough, they are called kindred. Getting rich, He now wished to rise above the kind, to use his eternity for previously impossible purposes. His sire, who saw a certain interest in it, let his child experiment. Caleb spent half a century roaming the seven seas of the globe, getting rich by acquiring diamond mines and trading companies. He toyed with the laws of men, but scrupulously respected the principles that Tavernier had instilled in him. The mutually beneficial balanced relationship continued until the early 19th century. Under the pretext of wanting to share his love of nature and the great outdoors with Caleb, Jean-Baptiste invited him to go to the Marichi region to meet an old acquaintance of his, the explorer Toussaint Charbonnier. Carbonnier? Yeah, whatever. The gangrel chose to establish his den in the heart of the forest and live like an animal. Despite his sire's instructions, Caleb had difficulty finding Charbonnier. After a physical encounter, the trapper understood why Tavernier had sent him this venture, so he attempted to share his connection to the animal world with him, as he had done with his sire before him when Caleb was not While Caleb was not interested in his ability to communicate with animals, his talent at tracking prey seemed more worthy of a kindred. It even proved to be necessary in the midst of the forest for a palate as refined as his, which was not to be sated with just any kind of blood. With practice, Caleb was able to track down his prey on his own. Carbonnier even trained him to differentiate the essence of a mortal from that of a kindred and even from that of a lupine, a werewolf. The onset of the winter season forced the men to part ways. Carbonnier headed back to the Pacific, Bazori returning to civilization with a new skill. Although he would never reveal this to his sire, he was thankful to him for having given him this opportunity. In 1806, with the Napoleonic Wars tearing Europe apart, Caleb met James Underwood, who, through the Sugar Trust, controlled the refined sugar trade. With the United States under an embargo, Underwood's business was failing. Caleb mustered all his knowledge to organize a large-scale smuggling operation, amassing a small fortune in the process. Underwood and Bazori formed a close friendship. Burrell Underwood was born in 1807 and inherited the business from his father, James, when he died in 1833. Caleb knew Burrell and Beryl, and he had watched him grow up. The 26-year-old heir asked the man as he viewed as his mentor to stay with him and help him, and Caleb agreed for several reasons. His respect for their business-minded for this business-minded mortal whom he deemed worthy of his interest, his honor that urged him not to abandon the relationship he had with James, and the profits he could make. He felt that his future lay in the New World, and that it was better to settle there as soon as possible. It was with the agreement of his sire that he moved to Boston for good. Tavernier sensed that Caleb had made great progress, and it was clear that the student had surpassed the master. He felt a kind of pride in this. While keeping his distance, he remained in regular contact with his child, treating him as an equal. It was on Caleb's advice that he moved to South Africa to set up new diamond mines. Burrell Underwood exceeded Caleb's expectations. He was more talented than his father, and the venture had something to do with it. But a vampire cannot become involved with a mortal over the long term without compromising their identity. Over the years, Burrell's doubts led him to question Caleb, who gave him a frank answer. He admitted his monstrous nature to him. This was far from repellent to Burrell, who became more determined and asked Caleb to give him the embrace. Caleb had never thought of siring a child himself, so he put off the decision and did not accept until 1869. Burrell's embrace was quick. He immediately felt empowered. His ambition knew no bounds, and he sought to enrich himself by any means necessary. The Sugar Trust became the center of an international conglomerate that expanded beyond the sugar trade. Burrell was involved in every plot, every betrayal. Caleb began to be suspicious of him, and he withdrew, which Burrell did not forgive him for. Over the course of the 20th century, seeing Burrell's unscrupulous behavior corrupting the kind through the environmental and health impacts of his business, Caleb distanced himself from the business. He felt that he had created a monster, a threat to all kindred. Quentin King, the Prince of Boston, offered him the position of executioner of the prince, which he accepted as a means of escape. King made him one of his favorite tools, sending him to hunt down those who threatened the Boston Camarilla. After centuries of building a business empire, chasing opportunities and eliminating competitors, Caleb derived satisfaction from the simple task of doing what he was told. He didn't count the kindred destroyed, the mortals killed, or the thin blood suppressed. He served his prince with his signature loyalty. When Burrell Underwood joined Quentin King's Primaging Council, Caleb grew weary. In recent years, the elders have started to feel an increasingly incessant urge to travel. Tavernier was one of the first to give in, not having been warned. Caleb considered this a betrayal. However, he also felt this same need. He was almost ready to give in to it, but King's disappearance changed everything. Underwood asked Gabriel to become the new Prince of Boston. He hoped to be able to manipulate Caleb to serve his own interests, but Caleb knew his child all too well and refused this poisoned gift. So it was Hazel became the Prince of Boston. Quickly, she surprised everyone by proving to be much less manipulable than expected, which was a pleasant surprise to Caleb. He then decided to put himself at her service. Iverson was happy to have a renowned ally like him and accepted. His interest in the Camarilla was renewed as this new prince seemed to hold her own and had great plans for the future. It was during this same period that Caleb heard about a young mortal who had just graduated from MIT and gone to Silicon Valley to found a startup specializing in the blue economy. He inquired about her and finally met her. Finally, he won her trust and offered to make her his ghoul, with the aim of embracing her in the near future. He hoped to make her the counterpart to Burrell's self-destructive drive. However, Hazel Iverson did not subscribe to the same policy as Quentin King and would not grant the right to sire so easily. She even saw it as a way to maintain control over her precious Caleb, who was forced to wait. Consumed by the beckoning, he could no longer bring himself to leave without having repaired what he considered to be his greatest mistake. How very interesting. The Princess Seer Laisha, 12th generation, 1939. Laisha's story is nothing more than a collection of fragments due to her memory impairment. She remembers that she is from France near Lyon, and that Dr. Richard Dunham is her psychiatrist, as he has always been. She knows that he saved them from the war in 1939, both her and her daughter Halsey. He made it possible for them to join the Boston court, held at the time by Quentin King, a child of Malkov like them. The rest is nothing but light and shadow. Leisha knows the names and sometimes even the story of those around her without knowing exactly how or why. She remembers Quentin King, the previous prince, and his legendary obsessions, and more recently, Hazel, the first year of her rise to power. Leisha remembers her warmly and fondly, despite only knowing her for a single year before leaving to be put into slumber at the Malkav Institute of Boston, as prescribed by Dr. Dunham. Leisha suffered from sudden visions where the present moment and possible futures bleed into one another. She fights her gifts in order to be fit to take care of Halsey. However, this does not serve the prince's plans, as Hazel views this power as a way to master fate and bolster her ambitions. And finally, we have Miss April Bosley. 1999. The First Herald, Robert S. Ziegler. April was born in 1970 in Boston Bay's Village neighborhood. She studied fashion in New York before leaving to train with prestigious fashion houses across Europe. Upon her return to Boston in 1998, she founded her own house of high fashion. The unique anti-conformist elegance of her creation soon drew the attention of the divas of Boston. They naturally invited April into their social circles, where she found herself intoxicated by their charm. April found an inexhaustible source of inspiration in the members of the Clan of the Rose. She's a Toreador. One member of the clan was the well-known art collector, whom April met and became enamored with. Their boundless passions pushed her to attempt an embrace that she understood nothing about after only a few months. However, her lover and sire quickly lost interest in her after the pride of flaunting his conquest in the most fashionable spots in Boston. The first years of April's own life were spent alone in solitude. She found refuge and support in one of MM's clubs, where she learned all about her new nature and the history of the kindred. There she met souls who were worn out by their mad hopes and suffering. It was in this club she first met Hazel Iverson, a kindred whose embrace and abandonment by her sire reminded April of her own circumstances. April admired Hazel for the way she was able to turn the situation to her advantage. April offered Iverson her support and her services, and thanks for her loyalty, Hazel granted her the title of Herald when she took over the domain. Huh. Anyway, that is all of our codex for now. But let us see the rest of this menu. Traits are positive or negative effects that influence the abilities of the character in question. Traits are only available once they have been earned as a result of an action, a character's choice, or a consequence. Pardon me. Hunger. The hunger level, whether high, low or high, confers temporary traits that affect the character's ability. As it rises, the suspicion rating causes more negative traits that increase the difficulty forced by the character. Alrighty. Put her in her place.
It's gonna be a long night.
Miss Lewis, welcome.
ancien.
A Tremere warlock, then?
Keep him at a healthy distance. A sideward glance, he can make blood in your veins.
Is Cordyceps usually this sparse?
We should have all left.
Are you worried about the Code Red?
I'd hate to be kind, Swain.
Why?
The second honcho of the house security. This promises to be a busy night.
I know what you mean. It's one thing to have been told that the Nosferatu don't age well. It's another thing to see it for yourself.
Hey!
Do you think you'll be able to ask the prince tonight if you can embrace me?
No. Now is no longer the time.
And he is your child?
Mr. Beryl Under. Tread lightly. He's a member of the Protocol.
They're the check to the prince's power.
The check and balance. They backed Hazel and chose to bring her after Prince and King. They'd hoped to control her.
What? Thinking those ends?
I just have a feeling she was always there. Never forget that the court is a chessboard. We are monsters. We sacrifice pawns. If you want to be a major piece, then behave accordingly.
But
Nothing can happen to you here. We're in the princess house. She must be finished. Wait for me. This won't take long.
It's out of the question, MM. I won't let her get away with this.
All right. Calm down, Dijon.
Where's Journey?
What's it to you?
Don't start with me. She was in charge of the party. She has to take responsibility for this.
Leave her out of it.
It's too late for that. Don't waste your time covering for her. She's not a kid anymore. I haven't heard from my child, and no one's able to get through to them over there.
Go on then. Go and save Imani and stop wasting your breath.
There are rules. Need I remind you? We're all stuck here.
You're such a good
You'll never change.
Dijon.
What? Oh, come on, Hilda. She needs to grow up.
leave us.
Damn, she thick.
I don't need your help.
Ma'am, please.
Stop calling me.
I was worried about you.
You still haven't moved on, honey. You're always getting in my way.
Lower your voice. People are staring.
Alright.
Do you know what this code red is all about? You're in the prodigy. You must know something.
I'm in the same boat as the rest of you. Apparently, it was from one of Moore's retainers. That's all I know.
Who's that?
Jason Moore. Don't you remember him? He's the human who manages our interests when the sun comes up. He handles our assets, errands with the banks.
What does he have to do with this?
I don't know. It now seems that Miss Hazel Iverson, the mighty Prince of Boston, is no longer on speaking terms with the Primogen, as if now were the ideal time.
She asked you something. Do you know why?
My best guess is that she'd like to talk to you about Journey, of course. I always warned you that girl was trouble.
Yeah, sure. I've got it. Hazel must be upstairs. better hurry. What a shitty knife. Hazel was pissed. How could she want me?
It's an anagram. So I'm gonna bet money that Halsey doesn't actually exist. I'm willing to bet money she's a younger version of Leisha.
Is everything okay, Mom? Penny for your thought?
Nothing, Pumpkin. What were you saying?
You saw pictures again? You're not going back to the Institute, are you?
No, don't fret. I'm gonna stay here with you.
I don't like it when Richard takes you away.
He's my psychiatrist. He's helping me so I can be with you. Mom has a little trouble sometimes. Remember? I see things that haven't happened yet. And I forget others.
Yes, I know. And you have to slumber so you can rest all alone sometimes. But 3 years was too long.
It seemed like an eternity without you.
I missed you too, Mom.
I need my sweet little monster.
Mom? What's going on? Why does everybody look so upset?
I think something serious is happening. I'm worried. I still haven't seen Richard. I look for him so he can explain to me. He can't be found.
So, what do we do now?
I was told to wait here because Hazel wants to see us. There are cleanups coming, and your mother needs to talk to them.
Oh, then I'll go hide. Because grown-ups talk to me too much.
If you want, sweetie. But don't wander off. Go on. Show me what you do to make sure nothing spots you.
Okay, here I go.
Obfuscate. Unseen passage.
Nice. It's been a while.
Hey, no.
When did you get out?
Just tonight. Hazel wanted to see me.
That means she's extremely worried about the situation.
That or she's a major drunk.
You shouldn't make light of the situation. Believe me. There aren't many of us who have experienced a kind of blood and survived.
Thanks for the heads up, Professor Bazor. First Siaka, and now you. Why won't anybody give me a break tonight?
Maybe you asked for it.
Or maybe if you behaved in a manner appropriate to the circumstances at your side, then you'd better understand why everyone is so nervous.
Siaka jumped down my throat. Was I supposed to let him take his nerves out on me? No, I'm sorry. That's not how things work.
We must all remain calm and accept any help we can get, even from the most unusual sources.
That's surprising to me. Coming from a group. At least your certainties come from a more solid source than prophecy from a child of Marco.
You don't know what you're talking about.
All I'm saying is that whatever the problem is, your hallucinations aren't gonna help us solve it.
Wow, you a bitch. How dare... Like, that's fucking rude.
Yet many of the things I saw ended up happening. Clinton King's disappearance, Hazel's rise to power, your breakup with Hanka too. But you're probably right. It's just Hazel and her flow of photogenic.
MM is very pretty, but she is a straight bitch.
The prince shall see you.
But then again, truth be told, I don't care for the Toreador much. Excuse me. Ooh, who's the big guy?
Hazel. Come in.
I wanted to have a word with you.
What can I do for you?
I'm glad you're here. It's been a long time since we last saw each other. Tell me, where were you tonight?
Like everybody else, I suppose. At home, getting ready for the party.
How fortunate you were, right?
Why? What's happened?
You know what the code red means. There was a breach. This is intolerable. These agreements were supposed to celebrate the power of my court. Instead, I've been made to look a fool in the eyes of my allies. We'll have to increase our diplomatic efforts with the Royal House. Send new emissaries to Oslo.
What's that got to do with me?
Don't you worry about that for now. We have more urgent matters to attend to. We bring Journey to me.
She hasn't done anything. Hazel.
I'll be the judge of that.
What do you want?
I have a few questions I need to ask her. If mistakes were made, I need to know what happened. I'm sure that your friend will have a lot to tell me.
Yes, my prince. I'll be right back.
I didn't bring you here just for that. I have something to offer you.
I'm listening.
It's about the Primogen Council. You know everyone who's in it. Beryl, Richard, Caroline. Their support was much appreciated after the disappearance of the previous prince.
Clinton King.
But now, they've become an obstacle. It's been going on for months. They systematically oppose everything that I do. It must stop now. The Camarilla has faced many challenges in the past few years. Many of our strongholds have fallen. I won't let Boston suffer the same fate. But for that, I need more allies. Swansong. How would you like a spot in the Primogen?
What?
You've always taken care of your community, Emma, without ever asking for anything in return. It might be time you took a leading role in the community's affairs.
Hilda won't let you do it. She'll never see me as her equal. Being seated next to her child, she'll feel humiliated.
Dummy.
I'm a prince. She will obey me.
She's not gonna like it.
I don't care. What I'm offering is much bigger than all that. What do you think?
I don't know. I need to think about it.
Time is of the essence. You're a businesswoman, Emma. I know you'll be up to it. But we'll talk about it again soon. In the meantime,
I know. Jay, I'm going to go see Sylvia first. I need to clear my head.
do it. You won't be able to hunt tonight. It's better to be prepared. Bring me Journey.
I will.
I have the utmost confidence in you, Emma. Do not fail me.
Okay, good for me. What the hell is going on?
Yeah, man. I'm happy to see you in one piece.
Hey, so I'd like some refreshment, please.
Of course, I'll get you a glass.
I was thinking more like a vessel.
Oh, serve yourself. But try not to damage them, okay? They're all I've got left in stock.
I get it. I'll be careful.
I'm right here if you need anything else.
A safe zone is a place where no one can see you feed. You can find them by exploring the surroundings. Only one prey may be sent to a safe zone at a time.
Now's not the time to be thinking about that. We're not the only ones freaking out. Look around. Exactly. We've got to keep our wits about us.
No. Follow me.
Yes, ma'am.
Oh man. Ooh. Hello, my vessel.
Do you want us to... Hi. Do you want us to...
Sorry, I'm a little louder.
You useless.
Let me know if I can help.
I missed something.
Do you need me? Do you want us to... Hi.
Let me know if I can help.
Occupado.
The vessels are over there. Take whichever one you want.
I can help.
I must be missing something. Oh.
We can't wait around like this forever.
Do you know me?
Come with me. There.
Yeah.
Arr. The kiss! Vampires use their powers to charm and subdue their prey and satisfy their hunger. When feeding on prey, you can control the amount of blood you take. Press and hold the button to increase the amount of hunger eliminated. If you do not press the button or do not release it before the bar is full, the prey will die. Drained of its blood, killing prey will increase suspicion. She is still alive.
Alright, Jay. Where are you hiding? Hey, Abby.
Hey, your man. It's been a while. Can I help you?
I've got to talk to Jay. You haven't seen her, have you?
No, you should ask April.
It's a good idea. Thanks for the advice. Do you still work for April?
Well, aren't you rude? My loyalty is with the court.
Seems like Bosley's letting her around by the nose, though.
She's got some extra responsibilities, sure, but that's it. I have my own agenda.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm not surprised. I've got stuff to do. See you later. I know that perfume. Jay. Where did you go, Jay?
Hmm.
Page 3 was torn out. Traces of blue ink on page 2. Calcium and phosphorus. Nice and glossy. This page was torn out. It seems like it's a match to the file from the archives. Abigail must have done it. But why? I've gotta hurry. I'm not supposed to be here. It's a common set. Yeah, always gotta remind yourself. Keep it. This is the connection between the notebook and blue marker and the file she asked for. Journey asked Abigail to meet her in an alcove at the bar. Abigail. I've got to tell her.
I swear, she was standing there, playing me for a sucker, pretending she just happened to be in the archives. I played dumb. I said, as you like, Miss Abigail. And I left.
What did she take?
A page from a file about a new party that she tore out.
But why would she know that? Why now?
I wonder.
Hmm. Very interesting, class. Very interesting, yeah.
Can I help you? I told you I was looking for Jay. And I found the note she left you. I wonder what April would say if I showed it to her.
You went through my stuff?
Is that all you're worried about?
No. It wasn't personal. Journey was in a panic. She asked me for the pass to get into Jar's apartment.
Did she say why?
Only that she was looking for evidence. I didn't really get it. Let's keep this between us, alright? April's got other fish to fry.
I'll see about that. I'm going to find her. Jara's apartment. That's in the private room. What was Jay looking for?
I'm like stupid hungry now, so. Come here, fuck boy.
It won't take long.
Going.
This is a weird way to kiss. Then again, my Ventru Luke, he... well... Oh, by the way, I'm blocking the Auspex icon.
I'm sorry about before. I'm just a little edgy today.
I know. This isn't the first time we've gotten in a fight over nothing. The child, Imani. She was there. Still no news.
No. Radio silence. And Hazel refuses to talk to me. I spent months kowtowing to those Hartford assholes for this agreement. If she has the info, now's not the time to hold it back.
These Hartford. How well do you know them?
Well enough. I won't let things end like that.
I'm looking for Journey. Have you seen her?
No, I'm sorry. I assume you've already tried her office?
You told me you knew the Hartford woman as well.
Yeah, some of them. I was in touch with their representative, Deneb. He was supposed to replace me on the council.
You're leaving us?
Not really. It's part of the agreement with the Chantry. Deneb and I were supposed to switch places.
Why was Hazel doing business with her?
She had plans for the blood marker in the region. We were meant to be in charge of supplying high-quality blood. They were supposed to take care of stabilizing it, or try at least.
That's nuts. Has anyone ever tried it before?
Never. That's why I'm worried. I don't give a shit about Hartford, but this project is really important.
I understand. Well, I'll leave you to it. I've got to find Jay.
If I see Journey, I'll tell her you're looking for her.
Hi, friend. Good evening, Miss Lewis. Call me around, please. Did you come up here late?
Yes, but he's so very busy.
You didn't happen to see Journey, did you?
I'm sorry. I don't know everyone's names yet.
It's locked.
Oh, you again. What do you want?
April, have you seen Jay anywhere?
Well, you can't let her out of your sight for 2 seconds.
The prince sent me to get her.
I can't discuss that with you. think in a million years this is what happened, but what if Jay messed up somehow? What would happen to her?
Depends on the mistake and how bad the consequences were. At best, the prince will be nothing. At worst,
Destruction?
yeah, there's a good chance of that.
You can tell me. My lips are sealed.
The only way I can make sure you don't talk is to keep my own lips sealed.
Fine. I won't insist. If you see her, tell her I'm here.
Yeah, sure.
What attitude? It's a good thing I was careful earlier.
I don't like April.
Oh, boys. That shit.
That should be too.
I wish I was outside.
So, what exactly did Hazel want with you?
She asked me to go on that stroll.
Ah,
So, you think this is gonna get ugly too?
how is Hazel?
She asked a lot of questions. She was a little paranoid.
She's losing her grip. Be careful.
Why are you telling me this?
This is the first time you've ever been involved in a court intrigue. Up until this instant, I've handled things for you.
And that was fine.
The prince is under pressure. Choose your words carefully.
I hate the court. I've gotta go. I've got stuff to do.
Be careful.
Anna's on the first inquisition. Notes from the Convention of Threads.
Ooh.
A book about alchemy? That's a weird thing to
Why? No? My Tremere Ace would love to get his hands on most of those books.
Can't go through there. It's locked.
Oh, okay. Charador. Yeah, I was like, yeah, didn't we? Nos?
Fucking way. Shit. So this is where you.
Oh, Jesus, it's you. You scared the shit out of me. How did you find me?
You're really bad at covering your tracks. What the hell is going on?
Shit, none. It's a fucking nightmare.
The code red is definitely because of the party.
April told me Hazel was gunning for me.
She thinks I'm responsible for this shit show.
So you're hiding in Rory's room?
I'm looking for evidence.
I saw that jar had the flashback on it.
It's got all the contracts and stuff in it that will prove I did my job right.
I can't find them. It was my only shot to defend myself against her.
I did everything right.
I was the one who rented the place. Same as always. Rooftop, away from prying eyes. I met with Richard to organize the vessels. I arranged for limos to be sent for the Hartford Chantry. I went through the same secure limo agency as usual. They're ours, so there's no risk. What the hell could have gone wrong?
I don't know. But there's no time to think about it. Hazel wants to see you.
And she is.
It's gonna be fine. I'm sure you can explain everything.
I'm scared.
Don't worry about him.
I'm here. I'll follow.
Rule 1 of Vampire of the World of Darkness. Always assume there's a Nosferatu in the room.
It's good to see you.
Be good, sweetie.
How was your reunion with Halsey?
Thank you, Hazel. Your gift was wonderful. You shouldn't have troubled.
You're welcome. We should never have kept you apart for this long.
Okay, never mind. I'm fucking wrong.
Good evening, Delson.
Good evening, Aisha.
How are you feeling?
I feel great. Better and better since I got my little sugar fangs back.
Wonderful.
I haven't seen Richard yet. Does he know I've been released from the Institute?
No, I'm the prince. It was my decision. He is your psychiatrist, but you don't need his permission for everything.
He wasn't at the party, was he?
I'm searching for everyone who's still missing. Don't worry about him.
Thank you.
Aisha, I know I can be friendly. For 4 years, I have been working to heal the city's wounds. You've already helped me avoid traps in the past.
That was a long time ago, you know? I can barely...
You've helped me to foil conspiracies, make the right decisions for the domain. You're not like the other children of Malkath. Quentin King knew that.
The Mad King. I remember, yeah.
I had you released from the Institute because your premonitions are the most detailed, the most accurate. I wanted them to help me understand Luchenko's hand more clearly before we signed our agreement with them. But this alert changes everything. I need to understand what's just happened. Did you sense anything, possibly about what happened tonight?
I saw images, but they had nothing to do with this party. It didn't make any sense. It was a long, white hallway.
It's a little early for sure, but it's a good start.
I'm sorry, I can't be of more help.
Don't be sorry. There's something else you can do for me. Your discretion can still be of use to me. I need to be sure that none of the members of my council are going to take advantage of the situation.
You don't trust them?
You can never be too careful. You and Delson are the only two people I trust entirely. The members of the council have their council lodgings here. It gives them the impression and it means I can keep an eye on them. I'm going to give you the key. Go and see if you find anything that could make me doubt their loyalty. Anything that might make me think there's something up in their eyes.
All right.
Miss Drury burned the midnight oil to make sure this event was secret. I imagine there might be some evidence in the information she gathered. I need it.
All right. Consider it done.
You've never disappointed me, Leisha. Please don't start today. Until then, I will for more information. But above all, don't share what we've discussed with anyone. I don't need more gossip.
Can I take Halsey with me?
Of course.
All right then. I'll be right back.
Okay, actually, I'm not unconvinced Halsey isn't real. Not a Nosferatu, but a Malkavian. How interesting. Uh-oh. That's a bolitos.
That was intense. I have to be careful. Shit. They're gone.
Mom, I'm going to Richard's to see if he has my teddy.
Okay.
Come and find me when you're done.
Let's see if Hazel is right. Did Jorah leave anything behind? This thing's old. Does she still use it?
Wait, what did that say? I'm not a fan of this haircut.
Nobody here. I'm going to be able to take a look around Dijon's. Salem Gazette. Tarot cards. How fun. The Emperor, the Chariot, Temperance, Hazel. Dijon is thinking about taking a trip.
What's it a photo of?
Just like New Orleans. This is definitely Dijon's place. He must have done a warlock ritual. A bird. Dead.
There's something I find highly insulting calling it a warlock ritual. Ooh, it's a bloody knife!
This knife has blood on it.
Duh. Should have picked the investigator here. Damn it! Oh well. The fuck are you looking at? I'll go where I want to.
This area is reserved for the Prince and Prodigy. Shit. Hilda's in her office. She's going to see me.
Ooh.
I shouldn't get too close. She might be able to sense me.
Man, I missed something in Dijon's apartment? What did I miss in here?
Tarot cards. How fun. The Emperor, the Chariot, Temperance, Hazel. Dijon is thinking about taking a trip. What have we here?
Again, fuck are you looking at, bitch?
Why did you come back? Why? Other than to show that we're doing just fine on our own. If you only knew everything I've done for you. Ma'am, that doesn't consider that I know that she was with Hazel. I hope she'll be happy to hear that.
Nisha. Restricted access means nothing to you, see? Make yourself at home. Me? Oh, that's surprised.
Doesn't surprise you.
For you to turn up at a time like this.
The prince had me released.
Of course, she needs you. I'm guessing she sent you to spy on the council.
What do you mean?
Tell me, do you remember the last time she pulled you out of your musty hole?
It's just that
I don't remember, do you? I'm still having those little memory issues, it seems. And I suppose Halsey's here too.
of course she is.
The more the merrier.
Don't start with me yet. Otherwise,
Why don't you go out and play in the sun? Me get back to work.
work. With everything that's going on, Hazel will appreciate your dedication.
Get out, please.
That's all I can do to feel good about him. Hazel's gonna be disappointed.
Shit, I fucked that one up.
Halsey's waiting for me. I hope Hazel will be proud of us. Richard's apartment.
That's some creepy fucking artwork, dude.
He didn't change a thing, as usual. Maybe I'll find a way to read it.
He must be hiding somewhere else. Mr. Teddy.
I'm so convinced this girl is not actually a real person.
Who knew Richard would still use that?
He must be hiding somewhere else. Mr. Teddy.
Richard must have had a breakthrough, if Hazel's interested in it.
Mm-hmm.
I see guilt. Richard often asked me. So, did you find your test?
No, not yet. I'm not sure he's here. What about you? Did you finish your job for the prince?
Yes, I found something that might be of interest to Hazel.
Does that mean we're going back to see the prince then?
Let's go, Sugarface.
Leisha. I'm all ears.
Everything went all right.
I knew I could count on you. Was Halsey a good girl?
Yes, as usual.
Good. Were you able to find anything interesting in Miss Drury's apartments?
Yes, there was intel she had gathered on the guests, including those from the Hartford Chantry.
Anything about their regent? Didn't have Osborne.
Yes, he seems to be obsessed with memory magic.
Interesting.
I gave everything to Delson.
Thank you. I'll take a look at it later. Were you able to see or hear anything interesting?
I also found that at Jara's, a file on the party. It's a record of everything Journey did.
That could be useful. Give it to Delson on your way out. Anything else?
Hilda was in her room. She was acting strangely.
What did you mean?
She was whispering things, talking to a picture of a nun.
Touching, but that's of no importance.
At Dijon's, I found a letter addressed to the Salem Chantry.
Did he betray me for the Warlocks?
I don't know. It just said that he's participating in your project, but that he would have preferred an agreement with Salem.
Oh, I understand his recent illusions a little better now. I'm going to need to have a word with him. Go on.
I had a vision.
I knew you would. What did you see? Was I in your vision?
I think it was me. My forehead was on fire.
All right. Do you have any idea what it could mean?
Not in the slightest. Are you disappointed?
The important thing is that you're starting to have visions again.
It happened when I was in Jara's office. I just found Journey going through her things.
But she's not allowed to be there.
And then joined her almost immediately.
What did they say to each other?
I couldn't hear what they said. That's when I had the premonition.
That's too bad. But you didn't fail. I promise. Don't worry about it. Just focus on the visions.
That's all I was able to find.
I knew I could count on you. Thank you, Leisha.
Richard still wasn't there. Were you able to find out anything else?
Yes, one of my servants just came back from his bar, the Red Salon, as that's where he does his research. I hope to find it. But she confirmed that Dr. had gone to the party early, with a few of his vessels. I'm sorry, Leisha.
No. If he had been destroyed, I would have felt it. I have to go find him.
You're the most discreet of all of us, it's true. But we have no idea what might have happened there. It could be dangerous.
I won't be alone. Halsey will be with me.
Of course. And one last thing. Dr. Dunham wasn't the only one there. So Miley, my child, bring her back to me.
Yes, of course. We'll leave right away.
I wouldn't expect anything less. Thank you, Leisha.
Until someone fucking addresses this kid who's always in the room and no one seems to look at, until someone addresses this fucking kid, she doesn't exist.
You've brought me journey. I knew I could count on you.
Jay is waiting in the antechamber. She's nervous. Tell Delson to go in.
We'll see about that.
Did you need me for anything else?
Not right now, but I will soon. I have one more favor to ask you.
I'm not gonna fucking betray the prince here. Ooh. I kind of like this switching through all three.
Zori.
$20 says he's a gangrel or a bruja.
Your sense of duty is a credit to you, Gale. You haven't lost your touch, I hope. The Code Red is linked to the Unification Party with the Chantry. No one there is answering anymore.
How many of us were there?
Probably a good 20, give or take. Dr. Dunham and our top spy, Jared Roy, were already there.
We might have lost 2 members of the Unification. What about Hartford? Have you heard from them?
If those dogs had anything to do with what happened, I'll cut their throats myself.
Do you think they might be involved?
I don't know. It's too early to draw any conclusions.
Where do you want to start?
Can I count on you?
You have no reason to doubt me.
One by one, the Anseli heed the beckoning and go east. You're the eldest in the city now. Don't do this to me. Not now. I would be very grateful to you. And Faye.
How may I be of service?
Go and see Caius with Jara gone. He's in charge of security. He may have learned something.
You can count on me.
You have my absolute confidence.
Oh, sorry, guys. I'm really just trying to get over this cold, man. Still got a lot of mucus in the chest. Yes, even doctors can get sick. So, when my friends and I all played and talked about Vampire the Masquerade in some detail, I am definitely pegged as the Ventru. Which actually, hilariously enough, is the same clan that my father used to pick, because my dad used to play...
I'm just following orders. You have no idea what's at stake. My most honored sire, wasting your time here.
I'd forgotten about your abject fawning.
I call it respect. It appears that it's something that Suarites know nothing about. Apparently, Caius feels he's entitled to refuse to see a member of the Primogen. I won't forget it.
This is the kind of thing you delegate to a retainer under normal circumstances. What matter is so urgent that you've come to see Caius yourself?
If you don't mind, I choose not to entrust this task to anyone else. Tell me, you haven't introduced me to your charming protege yet.
Zhu Feng.
Yes, Zhu Feng. A name that's as delectable as her blood, I'm sure. Ah, you're planning to introduce her to the very select club of Galen Bazori's progeny, aren't you?
I hope that the prince will allow me to, shortly.
Hope so for your sake. Who knows? Our dear Hazel is so unpredictable. At any rate, it would be an honor for me to welcome you down.
You will speak of nothing with her at all.
Is that an order?
A word of advice.
Oh, pardon me. I fell out of the habit of receiving advice from you so long ago. Well, if you'll excuse me, I must end this ever so pleasant conversation. Need to find a way to avoid losing too much money.
He's the kind of Ventru that gives the rest of us bad names.
That's handwriting. He was trying to contact his associates. This is a handwritten list. These names sound familiar.
Mr. Bazori, can I help you?
I need to see Caius.
He doesn't want anyone.
Prince's orders.
I see. He's holed up in the server room. You'll need a pass to get in. There's one on his desk.
Thank you.
That's about something. Nobody's allowed to go in or out. I don't like the sound of that. The prince wants this floor under surveillance. I'm carrying out orders.
She always said she preferred paper to digital.
Nobody's answering there either.
Caius's office. The key card must be in there.
Mr. Lito isn't in his office.
Security has been increased to the maximum. If Nelson only can hold it.
I think this game will be a lot of fun to come back and go through again. Because there's so many different paths you can take.
I imagine she sent you. Finally, some good news on this shitty note.
What's the situation?
Poor Nos.
Not good. Not good at all.
The prince needs more than that. I hope you've got it.
You want details?
Tell me what happened.
Everything was going as planned until 11:10 p.m. The Princess Child, Miss Sallow's contacted me. The Hartford Warlocks had just arrived. That's the last time we heard from any of them. Less than 20 minutes later, we received the code red just as we were leaving to join them.
Who sounded the alert?
A man named Wu. Ever heard of him? A retainer, one of Jason Moore's bodyguards.
Moore, the asset manager. What was he doing at the unification party?
He was supposed to answer technical questions about the financial viability of the agreement. Moore is good at hiding our time trafficking. He's one of them.
And you're the one who received Code Red. Person.
It arrived directly here. It's authentic. I verified it.
Anything that could be of interest to the prince?
I'm working on it. Jara Drury is the expert, not me. If only she was here.
Any movement with the Annex?
As usual, they're keeping their distance. You know it's always a pain in the ass to locate them.
Any word from Hartford?
You think it's them?
It would be ill-fated.
I knew we should never have trusted those damn warlocks.
Any sign of Jara?
Nothing at all. That's not good. According to the protocol, she should have been there earlier. If they got hit, she would have been first in line. There's one thing we haven't considered. The Crimson Oaks.
They were behind the Quincy Market attack, weren't they?
I don't have any proof. We just caught a Finblood who wanted to track the prince, and who told us about them. Apparently they're new in town, but Miss Drury thinks he's giving us the runaround.
Did you look into it?
I tried, but I didn't have the resources to discover anything else.
Leave no stone unturned.
Hello? You. It's about damn time. Shit. What? You're... Hello? Damn it! I lost them.
Who was it?
Whoa. Shit. Now it's just ringing.
What did he say?
The party was indeed attacked. Apparently it was he and James had just enough time to get more out. They're stopping by his place to pick up some sensitive documents.
And then what? Did they come in here?
I don't know. He got cut off.
Call him back. I'll inform Hazel.
Uh-oh.
This is a critical moment for us. I have summoned you here tonight to organize our reaction to an imminent threat.
What threat exactly? We've got no reason yet to
Call
think...
her off again and I'll slit your throat.
Yep,
Oh.
Gangrel.
Excuse me?
Careful, Hazel.
Dare you speak to me like that? You-
Enough! I command you to be silent and listen to me.
Oh, so that's how it is.
That's enough, Beryl.
Yes, it's come to this. You would do well to listen to your side. We have just been attacked. This is not a time for childish displays of discontent. Galen, the code red was sent by War. Go to Moore's and find out what's going on.
As you wish.
And bring Moore back to me. He was supposed to be at the party. I don't understand why he's the only one who was at the conference. I would like to speak to him very much.
Consider it done.
I turn us to find us a new middleman in the cane business to manage our interests. I don't want to take any chances. Then, I want you to talk to everyone. Somebody must have seen or heard something. Dejan, make sure all our defenses are in place.
Yes, Hazel.
MM, you will go to the old Jefferson Library.
What's there?
That's where the Hartford Chantry calls home. I gave them the building so they could have a base in Boston.
I demand to take her place.
Request denied.
What game are you playing, Hazel? It's a suicide mission.
It's all right. I got this. I'm not made of sugar.
She's not ready for this kind of mission. I should go with her, at the very least.
No, you will remain here. And Mem goes alone.
Why don't you send Dejan instead?
Enough, Hilda. Dejan has work to do elsewhere, and I don't need to explain myself.
Hazel, if anything happens to her, I'll...
Nothing. You'll do nothing. It's high time you learned to trust her.
Which one wasn't planning to send to the party?
She's already left.
What? Who?
I sent Leisha.
Are you serious? A few hours ago, she was snoozing behind locked doors in a psych ward.
You're playing a dangerous game, Hazel. Without us, you would never have come into power.
You've chosen the worst possible moment to turn your back on us.
On the contrary, I find this moment very. I am the Prince of Boston, and you are the prodigy. I know nothing. Delson, escort them out. The session is adjourned. You all have your instructions.
I like the prince. Ooh. And now I can pick. Wow, that's fun. However, I think I'm going to leave it here for the night. So I want to thank all of you so very much for watching me play this game. As you all know, I am a huge fan of Vampire the Masquerade, and I am, of course, just delighted to be playing this game. This game is fantastic, and I'm already going to tell that I'm going to enjoy this immensely. I will be posting and streaming this game at random times and random intervals. I may play a little bit later. Depends on how I feel. I definitely need to go take a bath, kind of relax and unwind a bit. But I would like to thank you all, my dear test subjects, and I hope you all are doing well. Stay healthy, and we will see you next time in the World of Darkness and on my Sir